What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and this video is to talk about Gennady Golovkin's response, saying that he has a better resume than Bernard Hopkins. Well, first off, let me say this. I'm getting sick of current fighters comparing themselves to older fighters. I understand that you're presently fighting, and always the fighter that's currently fighting, you're gonna pay more attention to. But to say something precarious like that, of course, this is Golovkin. You know what I mean? He's kind of like, he kind of approaches things kind of like Manny Pacquiao, but I've never seen Manny Pacquiao say, "Oh, I think I'm better than anyone else," or "I think my resume is better than anyone else." So I think he stepped out on this one, and I think this is original for him, and it's definitely new. So let's talk about his resume. Gennady Golovkin, first of all, he's right neck and neck with the title defenses. He will beat Bernard Hopkins' title defense if he beats Matarosian, which he's more than likely to do. But if you look at the fighters that he's beat everyone except Canelo, and then, but that is a name on the resume. So let's start with Canelo on the way back. Danny Jacobs, that was a good name. Let's see, who else did he... Not Toriano Johnson, the replacement for Toriano Johnson. He knocked him out in 2 rounds. I can't remember his name right now. Washington kid. He beat him. He was an underachiever. Who else? Martin Murray. So you had to add Martin Murray to that list. David Lemieux. David Lemieux was he's a good name on the list. However, he did get beat by Saunders. So, you got to question how good Lemieux really is now. Let's see, who else did he really fight of importance? You know what I mean? He didn't get the Pitrog fight. He didn't get the Felix Stern fight, He didn't get the Sergio Martinez fight. He never got these fights to really seal his legacy. If you look at Gennady Golovkin right now, he's looking a lot older. You can tell he's more seasoned, so to speak, right? So it's more of it like, I look at Gennady Golovkin like a guy that really did not have the fighters or the fights to seal his legacy. But Bernard Hopkins did. Bernard Hopkins fought, a lot of guys. He knocked out Trinidad. He knocked out De La Hoya. And as of that time in 2004, no one knocked out De La Hoya. He was the undisputed middleweight champion of the world. Okay? And no one's done that since Marvelous Marvin Hagler back in the 80s. Okay? So that alone supersedes anything Gennady Golovkin's ever done in the sport of boxing as of right now. Just because he hasn't been beat, I think, again, that shades of that Mayweather, has kind of tainted the sport with his because he's never been beat, shows that I have a better record than anyone else, or I'm better than anyone else. That doesn't prove that, because there's always reasons you had a O on your record, because you didn't fight the guys to give you the O. And Gennady Golovkin, let's look at him, if he would have fought Dmitry Pitrog, if something wouldn't have crazily happened to his lower back, or Sergio Martinez in his prime, or Felix Stern, a big strong jabber like Felix Stern, who's to say he would have beat all these guys? There's no guarantee he would have whooped all these guys, because he never fought all these guys. So for him to say that is kind of irrelevant. Let's look more of Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins, this is just at middleweight. This is not his legacy. And really, if you want to look at, the resume, I mean, a middleweight resume, Bernard Hopkins still has it because Bernard Hopkins stopped all-time greats. He fought Roy Jones. He fought De La Hoya. He fought Felix Trinidad. Those three guys those are all-time greats. Those are all Hall of Famers, to say the least. So I don't see where Gennady Golovkin has an argument of saying, I think my resume is stronger. Why? By beating Martin Murray or, who really did he fight? He fought a lot of guys. Willie Monroe Jr. A lot of fights fell through the cracks, and that's not necessarily all his fault. I'm not, you can't blame Gennady Golovkin for that. But what you can do, you can blame Gennady Golovkin for the choices that he decides to pick, the guys that he decides to pick right now. Say, for prime example, Vanes Martirosyan. The guy's a 154-pounder. Now, you could argue that Trinidad and De La Hoya were 154-pounders. But mind you, he fought De La Hoya, being the golden boy himself that made $30 million on that fight, right? He was the A side. He fought him at a catch weight of 158. Gennady Golovkin would never do that for Canelo Alvarez, would he? So Bernard Hopkins not only fought him at a catch weight, he was able to bend to the rules because he had confidence in himself, because he wanted to get those big fights. Why do you think that particular fight took so long to be made? You can't really blame Canelo for everything, because Canelo was the A side of that equation, just like De La Hoya was when he went in there and fought Hopkins and got knocked out in the 10th round, okay? So Bernard Hopkins, by far, has a very much more defining resume than Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin now has the opportunity to fight the guy, not the same guys, but guys on an equal or more impressive level right now, and he's not doing it. You got some killers at middleweight right now, and Gennady Golovkin, he looks like he doesn't want to touch him. Deverenchenko, Danny Jacobs rematch, Jermall Charlo, Billy Joe Saunders. You have all these, Demetrius Andrade, whatever you want to call him. Those are 5 names that I called out that he has not stepped up to the bat to fight. Okay? He's picked a 154-pounder that's been sitting on his ass for a couple years. How impressive is that? You know what I'm saying? So you got to really look at what people say. Just because you're presently fighting and you've never had a professional loss doesn't give you the right, or, I know it's his opinion, but I don't even see where the logic comes from. It doesn't give him the right to say that. Not at all. And this might come off as such of a rant, but I get aggressive, and I get, and I get bothered by current fighters, like Mayweather saying, hey, yep, I'm better than Muhammad Ali. Dude, you never even fought the people that you thought he fought people that he thought he was going to beat. And it looks like everyone's doing the same shit, right? It looks like, because Gennady Golovkin should have fought I know he couldn't fight Billy Joe Saunders, but he could have fought Demetrius Andrade, another undefeated fighter. Who does he fight? He fights Vanes Martirosyan, the guy that gets beat by a guy that you also refuse to fight, which is Erislandy Lara. So again, it's not impressive, and a lot of times it's best to stay humble and not let shit like that come out of your mouth, because when that does, I'm going to call you on it. I don't care who you are. I'm not a biased person. I'm not against Gennady Golovkin, but I am against what he says. That's what I have a problem with. So we did a compare and contrast before fighters. We got 20 and 20. Bernard Hopkins beat Carlos Mazon's record, and Carlos Mazon had 14 title defenses, okay? He beat that and went on, after being undisputed, defended it 6 times. Gennady Golovkin has yet to be undisputed middleweight champion, and that was supposedly one of his goals. He hasn't even reached that goal. It looks like we'll find out by this year, and then I will do a recap video on that to see if he's even about getting the undisputed title. Maybe then we can talk about a legitimate comparison between him and Bernard Hopkins. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I wanted to get that off my chest, guys. Please subscribe, leave your comments, concerns. Let me know what you think about Gennady Golovkin's comments about his resume being better or he's thinking he was a better fighter. But anyway, you guys been counterpunched. Peace.